Hello and welcome to another episodic installation of your favorite, or possibly your least favorite, or possibly not even on your favorite list of shows on youtube.org. And today I'm going to be doing a program. If you could believe it, it's possible that you don't believe it. So I would like to prove you wrong by doing a program today. Going to be talking about some stuff. I may even, if we have time, and by we I mean me. There's no one else here, but if we have time, I may even throw some things into the stuff pile. So we'll see. But we got lots of like stupid ass fucking shit to talk about. It's really kind of like, one thing for me that's been like a fundamental change in how I perceive the world is I have fully given up hope on any possibility that anything good will happen at all when it comes to world events, politics, people, like just people. I don't know. Maybe I'm a weirdo, right? It's totally possible. Maybe I'm a fucking weirdo. But I've just given up on people. I give up. I'm sorry. Like, I really, I don't know what else to say. I've given up completely. Now, it's possible, something will happen to restore hope, for me. But, at this current moment in time, I think it's over. I think it's done. I think we, are going to be the last groups of people alive on planet Earth, at least in the society that we know it as we know it today. I feel like there's going to be some sort of colossal catastrophe in the next 20, 30 years, and no one is prepared for it whatsoever, and no one even wants to even acknowledge that it's happening. So to me, I don't know. I feel like capitalism has won. Humanity is a death cult, as a whole of humanity is a death cult. A lot of people like to say, oh, but there's good people out there. Maybe, right? Maybe, but there's clearly not enough. Like, if 2% of humans are nice and moral and good, doesn't really help anyone. Like, so I'm just saying, a lot of people, don't, they might not know where I'm coming from at this current moment in time, but I am feeling extremely not good on the future of society. But I'm going to continue doing the show because I love to say I told you so. So I got to put something out there so that in 5 years from now, when shit starts getting real bad, I can point back and say, look, I told you so. And also, I like to update people on my, treasure trove of mental disorders. So without further ado, I would like to start the show off by talking about the positives, the silver lining of a never-ending pandemic that most people are completely fine with killing their kids over, killing their parents over, killing their cousins over, their brothers, their sisters, their pets. People love murdering each other in a legal way, because that's really what COVID has accomplished. It's accomplished a way for the everyday person to live out their murderous fantasies without any legal liability, right? That's really ultimately what it is. People want to murder each other, kill each other, their friends, their family, just kill them all. But the main thing keeping people from doing that is the fear of imprisonment. And so when you have COVID, something like that, you get to kill people without anyone batting an eye because everyone's in on it, right? So, but one of the silver linings with that is stories like this. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, oldest member of the Senate, hospitalized with infection. Isn't that interesting? Like, sure, there's like going to be millions of innocent, possibly decent grandparents and old people out there that are going to die for no reason because their family members decided to kill them because they're psychos. But at the very least, people like Chuck Grassley are going to be kicking the bucket anytime now. Like, Mitch McConnell's not going to make it too much further. And it's just, it's a silver lining, you know what I mean? Like, it's some possible something, we got something. But let's check this out. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, the oldest member of the United States Senate, has been hospitalized in the Washington area with an infection and is receiving antibiotic infusions, his office said Tuesday. So before all you dumb motherfuckers that go, it's not COVID, it's doing antibiotics. Well, a lot of doctors just give people antibiotics like as if it's candy when they don't even know what the infection is. But also, COVID destroys your immune system. It degrades your ability to fight off any infection. It's like AIDS. It's like HIV, right? When you get HIV, most people do not die of HIV. Most people do not die of AIDS, right? They die because their immune system is so weak that the common cold goes in there and kills them, right? They die because some random bacteria got in their ear and like caused a fucking ear infection that killed them, right? Like that's how people with HIV and AIDS die. And that's how people with COVID, getting COVID over and over and over and over and over again, it destroys your immune system, especially if you're as old as Chuck the motherfuck here. Like, you're probably, you're packing in decades and decades, a century, even at this point, of, immune system damage. So they're going to be going. Pretty soon here, I'm just saying, right? It's a silver lining here. Grassley, 90, will return to work as soon as possible following doctor's orders. Now, this is one of those things that the media loves to say, oh, someone is sick, they're going to get back to work like a good American. When, if you're sick, one, you shouldn't be working. Why? Because you're fucking sick, right? You need to rest. You need to sleep. You need to hydrate. You need to fucking hang out at the homestead and just fucking relax, until you get better. And, but also, work? Is Chuck Grassley working? Like, can we, like, what is this work that he's doing? Does anyone know what the work is? Oh, he's going to go back to work as soon as possible. Work? What is this work? Like, for most people, work is like standing all day and doing like manual labor or like, mentally strenuous exercises of some kind. That's most people's version of work. This guy just sits around and tells people to do things for him and just kind of does nothing himself. So is that really work? I don't know. But again, the media loves to tell you when you're sick, get to work. When you're sick, get back to school. Why? Well, because they like to kill you for profit. That's pretty much why. The Iowa Republican had hip surgery last year and briefly used a scooter to get around. I'm just imagining he's using like one of those like epic like teenager scooters, like the ones where you can like do like the spin tricks on. Like I have a fucking mental image of Chuck Grassley scooting into the Senate and doing like a kickflip or something. But there you go. Again, maybe this won't kill him. But again, any minute now, the dominoes are going to stop falling for these guys. So, but speaking about killing kids for capitalism, let's check this out. Oakland schools allow COVID positive students to attend class. Now, isn't that interesting? You ever think about this? Like, we're at the peak of the pandemic, the second highest that we know of, infection rate, that we've had over the last 4 years. And schools are not only saying we no longer have sick days are a thing of the past, but we want you to come into class and actively kill everyone around you, including your teachers, and your peers and fellow kids. And parents are just like, oh yeah, let me kill my kid because I regret having a kid. But I can't kill my kid with a gun. I can't throw my kid out of an airplane. But again, what's the legal way? Like I said earlier, the legal way to kill your child without anyone batting an eye, and that's send them to school. That's how you kill your kid without going to jail. And as we know, most parents are pieces of shit. Most parents are abusers. Most parents don't even want kids in the first place, shouldn't have had kids in the first place. So they're really just counting down the days until their kid gets so sick that they die. And then maybe, just maybe, they won't do any at all self-analysis of the fucking situation. And maybe they'll say, oh, my kid, it was so great to have a kid. And they'll lie to everyone else about how, oh, I wish I could have done something, even though they really could have done something, but they just chose not to. Because deep down, they don't actually want the kid. The school districts don't want the kids. The teachers don't want to teach the kids. The parents don't want to raise the kids. And kids are just being thrown into the garbage can by society. But let's read this. Let's see how fucking stupid Oakland actually is. Thousands of students in the Oakland Unified School District are returning to their classrooms after winter break with fewer COVID-19 rules imposed by the district. OUSD announced a new COVID isolation protocols Monday for students and staff, school staff members, based on updated guidance from the California Department of Public Health. Now, why are they updating the guidance? For the same reason that the UK government is redefining what disability is, so that they can claim that there is no problem while the problem is exponentially increasing. There's also a teacher shortage nationwide, right? So what are you going to do? Cancel class because there's not enough people to teach? No, you send them to work until they die at the age of 30 or 40 and also kill as many kids as you possibly can. That's the goal of schools in the year 2024. It's not to teach kids. It's not to educate them. It's not to build life skills. It's not to socialize them properly. It's to kill them as soon as possible without anyone noticing. But unfortunately for them, I notice what's happening and I'm going to make a video about it. So in a turnaround from 2020 strict stay-at-home protocols, students can now go to class even if they test positive for the virus, according to a message from the COVID response team. The COVID response team. I love this shit, man. Like, so you have people that call themselves the COVID response team. And what are they doing? They're not responding. That's like you're a 911 responder, you know, like you pick up the phone, right? Imagine calling 911 and nothing happens. It just rings and then you get voicemail. What? Like, you know, like they're the fucking COVID response team, dude. Like, are you supposed to be doing something about this? But whatever. COVID positive students no longer have to stay home as long as they do not have any symptoms, according to district officials. Now, this is the thing that really blows my mind is most COVID transmission is asymptomatic. It means you are extremely infectious. You're just not presenting any symptoms. And this is more common with kids than it is adults because kids have had less accumulated damage on their immune system over time compared to adults. So kids are more likely to be infected. Their body is getting destroyed. Their organs are getting destroyed. That's why you're seeing 5th graders drop dead at kickball, right? That's why you're seeing fucking high schoolers drop dead at the fucking gymnastics championship stuff, right? You're seeing this because their bodies are still being destroyed. It's just that their immune systems are not totally fucking destroyed at all at the same rate as adults, that they can maybe present asymptomatically. And also, again, think of it in the classic conundrum of zombie movies. You ever watch a zombie movie, Dawn of the Dead, you know, that kind of shit, right? You ever meet a motherfucker that you're just like, yeah, they're going to hide their zombie bite until, like, you know, they're going to pretend that nothing is going wrong. They're going to, like, cover up their zombie bite with a hoodie, and then all of a sudden they're going to turn into a zombie and kill all the main characters, right? And that's basically how kids operate. Especially if they're threatened at gunpoint, which kids are. What happens if you don't go to school? Thugs, gangsters with guns show up to your house and force you or send your parents to jail and steal you from your parents, right? So you're forced at gunpoint to go to school. And, you know, again, now they're basically saying, well, you got to come if you're COVID positive. Doesn't matter. You got to come to school. They're not going to accept that as an excuse. Oh, you got COVID and you want to stay home? What are you, a truant? And then they're going to dispatch gangsters to your house to threaten your family, right? So if you're forced at gunpoint to go to school, you're going to be more likely to hide your zombie bite, and therefore you may be symptomatic. You may like start having a sore throat, and you may be forced to go to school anyway, right? So again, this is what we're doing to kids in this country. We're killing them. This generation, like Generation Alpha or some shit, we got the fucking underflow. Z went to A. I don't know how that happens. Should we have like exclamation point, generation exclamation point, and then generation question mark, and then ampersand or some shit? But no, we're just straight on back to Alpha. Like, these guys are fucked. They are fucked, man. Like, again, they never stood a chance. They never fucking stood a chance because their parents, society around them, is murdering them in a legal fashion. The school district is saying, we want to kill your kids, and parents are like, oh, fuck yeah, I hate my kid anyway, right? And that's pretty much what's going on here. Asymptomatic COVID-positive students should wear a mask at school while indoors, the response team added. Now, again, should wear a mask while indoors. Is there an enforcement mechanism? Right, because as we know, policy doesn't mean anything unless it's enforceable. For example, when I was in school, I got detention multiple times. And I never went. I refused. I told them, you're going to give me detention, I'm not going. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? Like, they're not going to do anything. What, are they going to suspend me from school? All right. That's not a problem with me, right? So if you can't enforce it, is it really even a policy? Or is it just like something that you hope happens and you really don't actually hope you're happening? You don't really actually hope it happens. You're just putting that out there so that when later on all the kids start dying, you can say, well, we told them that they should be wearing masks. Also, is the school going to hand out N95s? Are they going to hand out P100 respirators? No, of course not, because they're underfunded and they don't give a fuck anyway, right? So it's just a bunch of fucking hoopla. Quote, the updated guidance moves toward a more symptom-based approach to COVID-19. Again, the dumbest fucking group of animals that have ever walked this earth. The human fucking species, man. Jesus fucking Christ. Similar to guidance for other illnesses, which again is really fucking stupid. Sending sick kids to school so that other kids and teachers get sick and possibly die or get disabled later in life is not a fucking solution to anything at all. Most important to note, the new guidance removes the recommendation for a 5-day isolation period following a COVID-19 positive test. Wearing a mask at school is optional for staff and students. The Oakland Unified School District dropped its mask mandate in April 2022, allowing individuals to make their own choice. This fucking, like, it's so ridiculously fucking stupid, this individual responsibility, this freedom of choice bullshit. Can we make our own choices on, like, the school dress code? What if I wear a skirt to school that's a little too short? You're going to send me home. I once in high school, or maybe it was in middle school, I wore a fucking t-shirt with the Doom cover art on it, and I got sent home because there was a gun and there was blood on my t-shirt. So you can enforce a school dress code, but not a mask mandate which keeps kids alive? Is this a joke? Like, what? Right, but again, these people don't want kids to survive. The goal is explicit: to murder your children. That's what schools all across the country's stated goals are. It's just that most parents are in agreement, so they're not going to contest it whatsoever. If you test positive for COVID and are experiencing symptoms, staff and students should stay home until you have not had a fever for 24 hours without using fever-reducing medication, and your symptoms improve. Mask when you are around other people indoors for 10 days after you become sick or test positive. Now again, all of this doesn't matter. Why? Because there's no enforcement mechanism, right? It's similar to the abortion life of the mother carve-out, right? Is a doctor really going to go to court for 17 years and defend the abortion that they gave? And also, what's the chances of the government or judge or whatever even acknowledging reality, right? When we live in fuckville, right? So are you really going to do that, right? No, not really. So ultimately, it's just something that makes everyone involved feel better about themselves, and it doesn't actually factor in the real world, right? So this stuff is for the COVID response team to feel like they did everything they could, even though they did nothing, right? And so they're telling people, here's all the things that you should do that we know you won't do, and even if you don't do, we're not going to do anything about it. But this is what you should do so that 10 years later, if there's any sort of government inquiry or a Nuremberg trial of some kind equivalent, they're going to say, we did everything we could, even though they very clearly did not. But you can read the rest of this. This fucking shit is really, really bad. And it's only going to get worse because, again, people don't give a fuck about their children. Again, if someone says shit like, I would die for my kids, you know that they're lying, right? Any parent that would actually be willing to do anything for their kid would not say stupid ass platitudes like, I would die for little Timmy, because no, they wouldn't. Here's another good fucking example here. Check this out. 100% fruit juice associated with weight gain in children and adults, study finds. Oh, you don't fucking say. What is 100% fruit juice? It's soda without carbonation. That's what it is. It's a fucking, you know how like they have certain sodas and like, Max, what are you doing? Max just ripped one of his fucking carrots apart. Max, don't eat the fucking stuffing. This dog. But what is, you know how they have those energy drinks that have like added B vitamins, added vitamin E or whatever the fuck? That's fruit juice without carbonation. That's what it is. It's empty calories. It's sugar for the sake of sugar. It's just like you might as well be eating 3 lollipops or 15 chocolate chip cookies. That's the equivalent to fruit juice. It is extremely unhealthy for you. But why do people drink fruit juice every day? Well, one, they're fucking stupid and they don't know how to use the internet, even though we've had it for like, what, 30 fucking years? You still don't know how to use it? Probably too dumb to live. You're probably a child abuser. But also, fruit juice companies basically did a giant viral propaganda campaign on the public to convince them that drinking soda every day is actually healthy because it comes from a fruit. You want to know why fruit is healthy for you, or at least healthier than fruit juice? Because when you eat the fruit, you're also eating a lot of fiber in the fruit. Take an orange, for example. When you eat an orange, there's a lot, you know, those stringy bits inside of it. Maybe you even eat the rind if you're a little fucked up in the head. And by that, I mean smart. But you know those like stringy bits in the orange? That's fiber. That keeps the blood, that keeps the sugar from hitting your bloodstream as quickly. Fruit juice is not fruit. That's why it's not called fruit. It's called fruit juice, right? Because they take all the sugar out of the fruit, separate it from the healthy aspects of the fruit, and then sell it to you as a health food. And parents are stupid enough to actually buy this fucking garbage and feed it to their kids because they're fucking dumb. Child abuse is acceptable as long as you claim that you're a fucking idiot. I did the best I could. I didn't know any better, so it's okay that I killed my kid, or it's okay that I gave my 5-year-old diabetes. It's okay that I made my kid have obesity and weight problems for the rest of their lives that they're going to struggle with forever long after I'm dead because I did the best I could. Child abuse is normalized in the United States of America. It's not even normalized, it's encouraged. If you're not abusing your child, people look at you funny, you know, like, whoa, they're actually raising their kid like they're a human being that they respect and love? Yikes, that's the average American parent. But let's keep going here. Drinking 1 glass or more of 100% fruit juice each day is associated with weight gain in children and adults. You don't fucking say. Like, again, like, what if, like, it's the year 2024. We knew this shit 40, 50 years ago. We knew this 50 years ago. There were books being printed in the 1970s about this shit. Is this a joke? You know, like, what? The research published Tuesday in JAMA Pediatrics found a positive association between drinking 100% fruit juice and BMI. Now, again, I don't give a shit about BMI. That doesn't matter. The point here is weight gain, okay? 100% fruit juice was defined as fruit juices with no added sugar. Now, again, that's another thing, is that most of the fruit juice that you buy, like a lot of the orange juice that you buy in cartons, has added sugar on top of it. So, again, what is fruit juice? You extract all the sugar and separate it from all the healthy aspects of a fruit. And then a lot of these companies are like, well, let's just add more fucking sugar to it anyway. Like, dude, you're drinking 100% sugar. When you add sugar to it, right? When you add added sugars to it, it doesn't make it 80% fruit juice. It makes it 120% fruit juice. It's 130% sugar. It's 150% sugar. This is not natural. This is a drug up there with cocaine or methamphetamine. This is killing kids, disabling kids, and giving them lifelong disabilities like weight problems, mental illness that goes with struggling with your weight and not knowing why for decades and decades and decades. The anxiety, the depression. A lot of kids kill themselves because of their obesity issues, because of sickness, right? But again, as a society, we don't give a fuck. Parents love killing and abusing their children as long as it's legal. Now, again, once a parent crosses the society-defined legal limit to child abuse, then everyone's like, whoa, it's out in the open now. It's like when an Israeli politician says, yeah, we want to kill all the Palestinians just because they're Palestinians, you know? Everyone else is like, whoa, you're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud. Come on. And then they pretend to punish them, right? But let's keep going here. The increases were small among children, for example. Each additional serving per day was associated with 0.03 higher BMI, but it did vary depending on age, with BMI increasing, appearing greater for younger children. Again, dysregulating your mitochondria, destroying your ability for cells to reproduce accurately. It leads to cancer. It leads to all kinds of intestinal issues, right? And again, it can destroy your pancreas and your liver with insulin spikes happening all the fucking time. You know, again, they feed children fucking juice and cookies and fucking pizza during school lunch. But it's okay. It's healthy because we put a fucking tomato slice on the fucking tray or whatever, right? And again, the earlier a child gets infected with this addiction, this drug addiction, the longer it's going to impact them for the rest of their life. I know that my webcam is being weird right now, which is very strange. You're just going to have to deal with it. I don't know. So the earlier the children get addicted to something, the longer lasting this health issue is going to be. Their addiction. You know, kids that get addicted to sugar early in life are also more likely to do other drugs, because sugar is a gateway drug. As much as the concept of gateway drugs is a little ridiculous, the idea that sugar is not a drug is even more ridiculous. And again, people get addicted to sugar. It creates these addiction networks in their brain that are easily applicable to other kinds of things, right? So I'm just throwing that out there. Our analysis suggested that younger children under 11 years old showed a greater BMI gain per every 8-ounce additional serving per day of 100% fruit juice than older children. Does this mean you should skip juice entirely? Not necessarily. But the study does suggest being mindful about how much you consume. How about you eat a fucking orange instead of drinking fucking soda without the carbonation? Like, what? So, again, this is CBSNews.com. So the study finds juice is unhealthy. And the article basically says, well, we basically found out that it's poison, but you should still keep giving it to your kids. You know, why not? What? Quote, our findings are in support of public health guidance to limit consumption of 100% fruit juice to prevent overweight and obesity. What is prevent overweight and obesity? That's not English. Second of all, look at, compare these two paragraphs here. Does this mean you should skip juice entirely? Not necessarily, but the study does suggest being more mindful about how much you consume. And then it quotes the authors in broken English. Our findings are in support of public health guidance to limit consumption. So the study says limit consumption. The media says, well, you shouldn't limit consumption too much, because you got to give your money to the orange juice companies, the apple juice companies. Give them your cash. Kill your kids in exchange for you spend more money. You become less healthy, which also ends up needing to pay more in hospital visits later in life. You give money to corporations that want to kill you. You kill your kids. Wait. It's just all cons. There's no pros on the list. But again, parents are going to kill their kids. They like killing their kids. They like abusing their kids. I say this. If you give your kid orange juice in the morning, give them Coca-Cola in the morning. Honestly, give them some root beer in the morning. Why? Because root beer is cheaper and it's more fun to drink. Let's be honest. Carbonated beverages are just more fun to drink. If you're giving your kid fruit juice, you're paying more money for an equally poisonous product. It's just that simple. Or, I don't know, toss your kid a fucking apple and maybe they won't become diabetic before they're 10 years old. It's possible. I got a dog here. He's laying down. It also raises the question, if fruit is good for you and recommended as a part of a healthy diet, why can 100% fruit juice lead to weight gain? The authors point to liquid calories as a possible factor. Now, again, this is fucking stupid. These people are fucking Dumb. One, calories don't exist. It's a made-up metric by sugar companies to convince you that, like, diet soda is actually healthy because it's 0 calories, man. So calories aren't real, right? How do you measure calories? You blow up a food in a box. Is the human body a box, right? You can eat an apple every day and absorb different amounts of calories from it, even though it's the same apple, the same size, the same weight. You can absorb different calories on that one apple based on what you had for dinner the day before. If you had a fiber-rich dinner the day before, you will absorb less calories of sugar from the apple. If you ate pizza for dinner the day before, you will absorb more calories from that apple. So you can eat the same thing and your body will absorb different amounts of nutrition, right? Because we have a gut microbiome. We have other living beings inside of us that also get fed when you eat proper foods, right? So not only are calories fucking stupid in that sense, not only are they made by, drug companies like Coca-Cola and other stuff, but this fucking shit is just stupid. Liquid calories? What? Liquid fucking Oh, it's the liquid that's the problem. No, it's the fucking fiber being removed. Right? What does fiber do? It slows down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream because sugar attaches to the fiber and then feeds your gut microbiome so you absorb less of the sugar directly. But no, they're just going to say it's liquid. There's something magical about liquid. It's not that you separate the unhealthy from the healthy and then serve them the unhealthy part of a fruit. No, it's the magical property of liquid. Is this a fucking joke? Again, this shit was known 50 years ago, right? You can fucking read books that were published in the 1970s about this shit, and somehow we're making up, it's the liquid what? A potential mechanism linking 100% fruit juice to weight gain is the consumption of liquid calories, which has been shown to result in greater weight gain compared with the ingestion of solid calories. What? Now, first of all, again, calories don't exist. It's a fucking food industry, drug industry propaganda tool. And second of all, solid versus liquid doesn't fucking matter. You can consume a liquid that has a lot of fibrous compounds in it. Again, they can be, it's classified as very small solids, right? But you can put like a fucking powder in a cup with water, stir it up, and you can see the powder kind of dissolve a little bit, and it can create a fibrous gel in your intestinal tract, which helps feed your gut microbiome. So is that liquid calories? No, it's not. And also, fiber is, by definition, non-caloric because your body does not absorb fiber. Fiber helps process your intestinal stuff and it helps feed your gut microbiome, right? So this shit is just like conspiracyville. Liquid calories, solid calories, what the fuck are these people talking about? It's the fiber, you fucking idiots. It's the fucking vitamins that are inside of the actual fruit, you fucking idiots. It has nothing to do with the state of fucking matter. If you froze the orange juice in the freezer, right, and created orange juice popsicles, is it all of a sudden more healthy because it's a solid now? No, of course not, you fucking morons. You stupid fucking bitches. But again, this is the media for you. Juice contains little... Oh, wait, holy shit. Okay, we actually have something interesting. Juice contains, quote, little to no fiber compared with the whole fruit form, resulting in low satiety. They added, meaning that the juice will not make you feel as full as eating fruit itself. So they're not going to mention fiber's actual health impacts. They're just going to say fiber helps you feel fuller. Is this a joke? Is this a joke? The authors also note their findings are in line with the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is an organization that is bought and paid for by drug companies such as Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. So nothing they say fucking matters at all. That children younger than 6 should consume less than a glass of fruit juice per day, or how about none? How about 0? What is this like? Like, Americans are so addicted to unhealthy garbage that we're like, yeah, feed your kid poison, but not too much poison. What? What? But don't give your kid a beer. Don't give your kid a glass of wine. That's evil. Woo! But you can have your kid drink 5 glasses of orange juice when they're fucking 15 or whatever. You can give your kid 1 glass of orange juice if they're 5, right? But don't give them anything that's actually fun. Don't give them soda, even though it's the same thing as juice, but more fun to drink. Again, this fucking shit is ridiculous. If you want to enjoy the fruit flavor with fewer calories, again, calories don't mean anything. The CDC, the same Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that is allowing the COVID pandemic to just go on and on and on and on and on unchecked, millions of infections per day, thousands of people dying every week, millions of diagnoses of long COVID happening all across the world. Yeah, let's take their fucking word for how much poison kids should consume. By the way, when you consume poison, such as sugar, excessively, what happens? It leads to intestinal issues. It leads to issues in your gut microbiome. What happens when your gut microbiome is in disarray, when you don't feed the bacteria in your gut? They feed on you, which heightens your immune response, which delays your immune response to foreign viruses such as COVID. 93% of Americans, look this up, have a form of metabolic dysfunction. They have something called metabolic syndrome, which destroys the mitochondria in your cells from being able to replicate properly. It also destroys your gut microbiome from being able to have a symbiotic relationship with you. They become kind of a parasitic relationship with you where they start feeding on your actual gut lining. That's called leaky gut. So if you have any issues with that, that's why. At least that's one contributing factor. And when you have that sort of issue, your immune system is basically so fucking intensely fighting a domestic war. There's an insurrection going on, right? So your immune system is fighting this insurrection inside of your body, and then stuff like COVID comes in and then fucks your shit up. So I'm just saying, like, this is like the shit that really makes me have no hope in society. This shit was known 50 years ago. We knew exactly what sugar did to the body and how it destroyed the body 50 years ago. Again, you can find books from the 1960s and the 70s about this very subject. What happened, though? The food and drug industry basically decided, you know what? We're going to spend millions and billions of dollars on covering this up and lying in public propaganda campaigns about how drinking poison is actually healthy for you somehow. 50 years ago, we knew this. Just like how 150 years ago, we figured out germ theory of disease. And now... But again, that's just how the world works, I guess. We're all just fucking stupid here in shit fuck USA. Child abuse is normalized. It's encouraged. If you're not abusing your kids, you're seen as some like weirdo freak cultist. If you think, oh, I want to have a healthy, respectful relationship with my child and make sure that they grow up to flourish and be as mentally and physically healthy as possible, you're looked at like, whoa, yikes. Why? Why do people look at those people with disdain? Because it makes them feel like they are garbage, right? Because when people see examples of good parenting and realize, oh shit, I'm a shitty parent, right? That's just too much for them to handle. So they want to be in denial. They want to claim that good parents are actually causing other sorts of issues. If you're too good of a parent, then you're coddling your child. If you're too gentle with your kid, then they're going to grow up to be disrespectful because you don't beat the shit out of them with a belt and then call it discipline, like you're a fucking like euphemistic neo-Nazi shit, right? Like, again, it's just normal. It's encouraged to beat the shit out of your kids in society. It's encouraged to poison them on a daily basis. And if you don't do it, you're looked at as a freak because parents don't want to come to terms with the fact that they're killing their kids because they're too dumb to read a book that came out 50 years ago. Right? So, I don't know, man. Why am I so hating of parents on my show? I mean, just look at the world we live in. Look at parents allowing their kids to go to school and get infected with a disabling virus every day. Kids are feeding their children poison, not even just in sugar, but in forms of fats, trans fats, right? Now, again, there's a lot of healthy fats out there, but the most common foods that are given to kids are unhealthy fats, like trans fats, right? A lot of saturated fats that are not so good. Right? The proteins that are given to kids are often like low quality proteins that often break down and don't actually, be absorbed by your body too well. Right? All on top of the fact that most kids have a chronically inflamed gut so that they're basically unable to absorb food properly, and their bacteria is stealing a lot of their nutritional content, the little nutritional content that they are actually getting, right? That one tomato slice on the tray at lunch is just being eaten by the gut microbiome, so they're not actually really getting any of the good value from that, and that's just normal. That's just normal. What? You don't want to poison your kids on a daily basis? That's how most parents react. So that's why I say fuck parents. I want to talk about some Israel bullshit here. Okay. So last week, the International Court of Justice at The Hague heard a case by South African attorneys in regards to the Israeli genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. And I watched the live stream. If you didn't watch the live stream of it, I highly recommend looking up some clips. I could play some clips for you, but honestly, I just recommend watching the entire thing because it is an important issue of our time. And honestly, nothing I can say on that would add any value here. So, but I want to check out an article here from Al Jazeera. ICJ genocide case. What are Israel's arguments and do they hold up? Now, the reason why I want to take a look at this is because we don't live in a world of logic where you can create a logically sound argument based on facts and then people will go, oh, well, there's facts to support it. It's logical, therefore they're correct. We live in la-la land where one side can just make up a bunch of bullshit and then win because of politics, right? So it's important to take a look on how Israel is responding to this situation. The International Court of Justice on Friday heard Israel's defense against allegations by South Africa. It's not like we live in the era of video evidence. Like, this is the first live streamed genocide in human history. IDF soldiers are literally posting on TikTok dancing on the graves of dead kids. They're saying it out in the open. When someone says, I want to kill all people of a certain race, and then someone else says, hey, let me just roll the tape. That's kind of fucked up, isn't it? It's no longer allegations. You know, I'm just saying, like, I get it, legalese or whatever, but like, come on now. Like when you have someone admitting that they're a genocidal Nazi on tape over and over and over again, multiple times over the course of months, and you just roll the tapes without any additional comment, are they really allegations at that point? I don't know. That had carried out acts of genocide in Gaza on the second day of the hearings that were live streamed for the world to watch. Nearly 24,000 people have been killed in the enclave since October 7, almost 10,000 of them children. Thousands more are lost under rubble and presumed dead. South Africa claims Israel has breached the 1948 Genocide Convention in its war on Gaza. I don't even like using the word war because that implies that there's two sides. This is not a war. This is just a cleansing. This is a genocide. This is an eradication. This is a Holocaust. On Thursday, the legal team acting for South Africa requested that the court issue emergency measures to stop the continuing aerial bombardment and ground invasion of the Strip. Now, again, even if they did that, Israel would just do it anyway because, again, The Hague is not real. These are a bunch of motherfuckers playing pretend. There is no such thing as the International Court of Justice. If there were, this would have been stopped 3 months ago. If there were, the Afghanistan invasion would never have happened. The Iraq invasion would have never happened. If there was an actual International Court of Justice, we would not be living in the world that we see today. So this is a bunch of grown adults wearing costumes and playing pretend. None of this shit is actually based on fact or reality. It's all politics and bribes. That's pretty much the entire situation. But even if the International Court of Justice decides to do the right thing, it's not going to matter because they have no enforcement mechanism. What did I say earlier about COVID in school? Does the UN have a military that is going to be going to war with Israel in order to stop their genocide? Do they have a group of people, soldiers, that are capable of going to war with Israel over this? If not, then there's no enforcement mechanism. Therefore, none of their decisions matter at all. On Thursday, the legal team acting for South Africa, I already read that. The request for provisional measures was the crux of this week's proceedings. In its Friday counter-submission, Israel's representatives, led by British lawyer and academic Malcolm Shaw KC, argued that South Africa's application distorted and decontextualized Tel Aviv's military actions in Gaza. And that, in accusing Israel of genocide, Pretoria was diluting the meaning of the crime? What? Again, on October 7th, did Hamas kill a lot of innocent people? Yeah. But most of the people, 1,400 victims, half of them were IDF soldiers, right? So not even civilians. And a large chunk, but currently unknown percentage, according to Israeli civilians, right, who have done interviews with the press, international press, they said that the IDF went in and started killing Israeli civilians. And then later on, they just claimed that Hamas killed them. So how many people, innocent civilians, did Hamas really kill on October 7th? Because by all accounts, it seems like the number is somewhere in the 400 to 500 range, which is bad, obviously. But think about it. 400 to 500 innocent civilians being killed versus 10,000 kids being killed versus 30 to 40,000 people being killed. If you even count people that are lost under the rubble and with permanent disabilities like losing their legs and arms or losing, any combination of those, it's in the hundreds of thousands of people that are permanently disabled versus 500 dead people. I'm just saying. I'm just like, let's be honest here. Okay? Let's be honest about this. One is extremely obvious to anyone with fucking half a brain or a third of a brain. Way worse. Here are Israel's main counter-arguments and a look at whether they stand up. Right to self-defense. As we know, right? As we know, everything that happens in the John Wick films is legal. Right? Someone comes into your house and kills your dog, so now it's totally legal to kill hundreds or thousands of motherfuckers in revenge. Right? Because they killed your dog. Now, hey, I love the John Wick films. I think they're fucking great. But it's very clear that the shit that they're doing is not legal in that film. But according to Israel, it is. Someone killed 500 innocent civilians, so let's go murder 100,000 people? Including children? What? What? That's self-defense now. Israel argued that the Hamas attack on army outposts in surrounding villages in southern Israel, as well as the taking of hundreds of captives on October 7, is what started the Gaza war. Now again, the occupation and creation of the concentration camp known as Gaza started decades ago. This idea that history doesn't exist and the world started on October 7th, not like October 6th, is not real. Do you remember anything that happened on October 6th, 2023? You don't, because it's not real. There was no October 6th, 2023. Everyone on planet Earth is 3 months old. Every human who's ever lived on this planet, every animal who's ever breathed on this planet is 3 months old. Because history stops. Duh. Duh. On October 7 is what started the Gaza war, and Israel has a right to defend itself under international law. So, okay, international law says someone killed someone in my family. So, let's say someone kills someone in my family. And let's say they're of Italian descent, right? Now I can go into Italy and just start killing a bunch of innocent Italian kids? What? Someone who, let's just say, is Norwegian kills my cousin. So now I get to go into Norway and kill 10,000 Norwegian kids? Right? It's international law. What are you talking about? Tal Becker, an advocate for the Israeli team, told the court that the Genocide Convention was drawn up in the aftermath of the mass killing of Jews in the Holocaust, and that the phrase "never again" is one of the highest moral obligations. Yeah, the way these motherfuckers like twist this shit is honestly kind of impressive. Like the fact that people actually believe that a genocide is acceptable because a group of people, most of which are no longer alive today, had a genocide acted upon them in the 1940s. So now the descendants of those people get to do their own genocide. It's only fair. My grandma was thrown in a concentration camp. It's only fair that I throw someone else's grandma in a concentration camp. Duh. Logic, bro. What are you talking about? Oh, God. By requesting an interim order against Israel's invasion, Becker said South Africa is trying to deny Israel the opportunity to meet its obligations to the captives taken. Yo, these motherfuckers don't give a shit about the hostages. That's why they're bombing hostages. They ran over hostages with fucking bulldozers and tanks. They're sniping hostages. There was a report that came out. Hostages were trapped on a rooftop waving a white flag. Come help us. The IDF knew that they were hostages because they could see them. They identified them and they killed them anyway. But Neil Salmon, senior campaigner on Palestine at human rights organization War on Want, told Al Jazeera that Israel's arguments are weak. Yeah, they're not even weak. They're just non-existent. You know? It's the equivalent of going, la, 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 I can't hear you. La, 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 la. That's Israel's argument. They're not arguing anything, bro. Come on. Quote, of course, both South Africa and human rights organizations like us condemn the killing of civilians and taking of hostages by Hamas. Salmon said, but this in no way justifies the response from Israel. As an occupying force, Israel does not have the right to self-defense. This argument does not hold water. Self-defense is someone is actively trying to attack you and you prevent them possibly using lethal force. So if someone runs at you with a knife or a gun and you have the agility to like dodge a bullet or a slash and pull out your own gun and kill them, right? That's self-defense. Self-defense is not someone tried to attack me with a gun and then I successfully ran away and then 3 months later I killed their niece. That's not self-defense. How is that self-defense? That's called revenge. That's called collective punishment. That's called genocide. Fucking morons, dude. The ICJ had, in 2003, ruled that an occupying power cannot claim the right to self-defense in a case involving Israel's construction of a separation wall in the occupied West Bank. Israel does not consider itself to be an occupying force power since its disengagement from Gaza in 2006. So they created a concentration camp in Gaza and then like basically snipe and kill kids from the top of the border wall. We're not an occupying force, man. If you're not an occupying force, why can't Palestinians leave Gaza? If I lock you in the bathroom and handcuff you to the fucking, you know, the fucking whatever, handcuff you to the toilet bowl, right? And then I leave the bathroom and lock the door. I'm not occupying you, bro. I have nothing to do with you. You are free to do anything you want. I am not an occupying force. That's Israel's argument here. Genocidal intent. The Israeli legal team said South Africa's accusations that Tel Aviv has an inherent intent to destroy the Palestinian people are based on random assertions. You know, like the prime minister and the president of the country. Yeah, it's just random assertions. Netanyahu and the president, whose name I forget right now, saying we are going to basically kill them all and they're all evil for electing Hamas, even though the election was a farce anyway. And like, I think there's a study that came out that said like 95% of people currently alive in Gaza had nothing to do with the 2006 election, right? They're all responsible. We want to kill them all. We want them to leave Gaza. We want to send them to the ocean or the desert. But they're just random assertions. Yeah, like the leaders of the country. I'm not going to read any more of this, but like this shit is fucking insane. This is absolutely fucking insane, but there's more. I have another article here. U.S. redesignates Yemen's Houthis as global terrorists. So for those of you that aren't following what's happening here, Houthis in Yemen, which is a group that basically staged a rebellion because they wanted to take over the government because the government was not providing for its people. And Saudi Arabia basically weighed in on the side of the Yemeni, freaks that were not doing anything good in the government. And basically created a bombardment campaign against all of Yemen on the goal of like, we got to go after the Houthis. In the same way that Israel went after all of Gaza. Got to go after Hamas. You know, it doesn't matter if it's like 1,000 dead babies per one Houthi. Doesn't matter. Got to go after them anyway, right? But over the last couple of years, the Houthis have basically created, somewhat more of a stable situation. Saudi Arabia has stopped bombing them relentlessly. A few years ago, you may have seen war powers resolutions going on with the Yemeni genocide that was happening. And essentially, like they kind of backed off on the peak of the bombardment campaigns, right? So now the Houthis have a little bit more power and wiggle room in Yemen. And basically they're saying no one else is doing anything about the genocide going on. So what we are going to do is we are going to literally enforce BDS. What they're doing is they're going after Israeli commerce. And basically they're hijacking ships and saying, you got to turn around. We're not allowing you to enter Israel, or we're not allowing you to leave Israel. That's what they're doing. They're going into the waters and they're basically saying any Israeli commerce is being blocked by us because we want to put an end to the genocide. Now, again, does this mean every Houthi is automatically like Jesus incarnate? No. A lot of Houthis are fucking stupid. And there's also been a lot of problems with the way that they're enforcing this blockade. They've gotten a couple of wrong ships. You know, a couple of people have died from altercations, right? So it's not perfect. But guess what? The UN doesn't exist. The Hague is not real. Those are all a bunch of like rich white cosplayers putting on a costume and playing pretend. The Houthis are putting their money where their mouth is. Now, again, are they doing it perfectly? No. But no one else is doing anything at all. So, you know what? I'm going to side with the Houthis on this one. And in a response, the United States is like, well, they're all terrorists. You know, the guy is killing thousands and thousands and thousands of kids and disabling hundreds of thousands of innocent people. They're not terrorists. They're just totally cool, bro. Self-defense. But the guys... not even going, like, yes, there have been some Houthi strikes on Israeli military outposts, but mostly the Houthis are not attacking civilians here like that. Like, and again, it is true that a couple civilians have been caught in the crossfire and not, things are not going well. But that's what happens when the UN says, we're not going to do shit. That's what happens when Europe says, we're not going to do shit and just lets a genocide happen. The United States government has formally designated Yemen's Houthi rebels as a terrorist organization. Washington's relisting of the group as specially designated global terrorists. Now, in my opinion, the IDF should be a global terrorist organization, but whatever. On Wednesday, it comes after the U.S. launched strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen in response to the group's attacks on vessels in the Red Sea. So they're bombing Yemen. Now, the United States, without any congressional approval, is now at war with Yemen. Isn't that great? Don't we just love how this shit is happening now? Doesn't everyone, like, again, if you've been watching my show for the last 3 or 4 months, right, I've been saying this from the get-go, right? It's going to be a falling of dominoes, and then eventually Iran is going to have to step up. Like, Iran is showing major restraint. Iran had a fucking terror attack that was committed against them recently, and they're showing major restraint, not getting involved, because they know that if Iran gets involved, nukes are going to start flying any minute now, right? So that leaves, groups like the Houthis in Yemen. They're like, well, we're small enough that the nukes aren't going to start flying, so maybe we can do something about it, and they're going ahead and doing stuff about that. And the United States is now doing this weird back and forth thing. which I'm going to be getting into as I further read this article. The Houthis say their operations are aimed at ships with links to Israel, and they will continue attacking targets until Israel's war on Gaza stops. So even though the United States went to war with Yemen for no reason whatsoever, the Houthis are like, and? There's still a genocide going on that you're supporting. You're doing a genocide, so, all right, we're still going to do BDS. We're going to enforce BDS anyway. And honestly, I support the Houthis in this instance. In response, this is a quote, to these continuing threats and attacks, the United States announced the designation of Ansarallah, also known as the Houthis, as a specially designated global terrorist. White House National Security Advisor blah, blah, blah said in a statement, this designation is an important tool to impede terrorist funding to the Houthis. Go fuck yourself. The designation does not take effect for 30 days. If the Houthis cease their attacks in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, the United States will immediately reevaluate their designation. But again, the Houthis have already said, yeah, go fuck yourself. The U.S. previously designated the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization under President Donald Trump's administration, despite strong objections from human rights and humanitarian aid groups. This was during the height of the Yemeni genocide from Saudi Arabia, which again, Saudi Arabia was using a lot of U.S. weapons to bomb a bunch of kids and starve them to death, right? So that was during the height of that genocide. Then, check this out. In February 2021, under current President Joe Biden, Secretary of State Blinken delisted the Houthis as both a foreign terrorist organization and as especially designated global terrorists, as the Biden administration sought to make it easier to get humanitarian aid to Yemen. So, this is not only is this an insane flip-flop, but the same administration, Blinken and Biden, the same people are flipping and flopping. It's one thing if one administration goes in, does something stupid, and the other administration undoes it. That's a flip-flop that's really stupid, and the way our government works that way is ridiculous. But it's the same people flip-flopping here. It's ridiculous. So anyway, not looking good in the Middle East, if I do say so myself. Pretty bad situation. And I would love people to tell me, if you have hope for the future, what are you smoking? Because send me some, please. I need that. Whatever it is, give it to me. Because this shit is insane. This is crazy. This world that we're living in. Mass death. Mass disease. Disability. Destruction. Think of the fucking carbon emissions even from the bombs that are going off, accelerating global warming even during a fucking El Nino year. Shit is fucked up. And at the end of the day, my only advice to any of the viewers out there is you need to be in survival mode. You need to do whatever you can to protect yourself, your friends, and your family, because it's just getting started. The way I see it, poor people globally are going to be eradicated in the next couple decades. After climate change really kicks in, and there's going to be several billion people on planet Earth that can no longer live where they live because it's uninhabitable, like in the Middle East. The Middle East... I don't even know what just happened. Is this on? Anyway. The Middle East might not even really exist in 30 years in the sense of, it might become like fucking Antarctica. They're going to flip. Antarctica, it's really hard to live in Antarctica. You need to do some crazy shit to stay alive. That's going to be the Middle East in 2050 and 2060. Right? Except it's going to be too hot instead of too cold. We are fucked. Right? Once billions of people are displaced and they start looking for places to go, you think a country like the United States is going to let them go anywhere? No. It's going to be a mass genocide. Right? It's going to be the mass murder of billions of people that's going to be happening in the next couple decades here, once most of the planet Earth is starting to become uninhabitable. Right? You think they're not going to apply that policy domestically? Oh, you live by the shorelines and you're poor and rising sea levels destroy your house from floods, hurricanes, tsunamis, tornadoes. Oh well, you're fucked. You're fucked. This is going to get really, really, really bad in the future. So my only advice that is actionable for people watching me is take care of yourself. Or if you just, if you want to go full nihilist, then stop taking care of yourself, because it's not going to matter in the future anyway. Might as well become an alcoholic at this point, right? But I highly suggest you start taking care of yourself. You start taking care of the people close to you. You start saving resources, not just money, but other kinds of resources as well. You think of a strategy, right? Don't move to the fucking beaches of Florida in 2040, okay? I don't care how cheap the house prices get. It's not worth it, right? You need to be in survival mode here. If you are planning on living, if I'm 27, right? So I'm thinking in the future in the terms of 80 years. If you are planning on living in the next 50 to 80 years, you need to start getting your shit together now. Because if you don't, it might be too late. As much as this fucking pains me to say, right? I don't want this to be true. I don't want to receive messages and comments from people saying that like, all of my family members are getting disabled from COVID. I lost several members of my family to COVID and no one gives a fuck. I don't want to be hearing this. I don't want to read articles like children are getting diagnosed with fatty liver disease at the age of 9 because of being poisoned by juice companies and bad parenting. I don't want to be reading this. I would prefer not to. But that's the world we live in. We live in Fuckville. We live in the shittiest fucking planet Earth. Out of all like the quantum many worlds branches of how humanity could have gone, we're living in one of the worst. It's really, 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 really bad. And that's scary. Like, it's sincerely, it's fucking scary. This is scary ass fucking shit. If you are not scared, again, whatever you got, let me know. Because I could use a couple doses. But anyway, there's your fucking fear-mongering program for today. There you go. If I didn't talk about anything that all the other political channels are talking about, the Iowa caucus, man! Whoa! The Iowa caucus, bro! Any video you watch on the Iowa caucus, you might as well be drinking fucking vodka. You're killing your brain cells because that shit doesn't matter. Trump was already destined to win this shit. None of that fucking shit matters. Nikki Haley doesn't matter. Fucking Marianne Williamson, as much as you might want her to matter, doesn't fucking matter. That is all a red herring. Your attention in a zero-sum sense should not be focused on this fucking clown circus. It should be focused on what's actually going on in the world that matters to people and things that you can actionably do in your life to improve the quality of life for you and everyone in your lives. And I also mean this. If you have family members that are living in La La Land and are getting COVID over and over and over again and are saying, hey, come to our wedding so that we can give you the virus. Come on in, drink the Kool-Aid. It tastes great. Maybe it's time to start dropping people from your life. Let's be honest here. Maybe think about it. Is it worth it to keep these relationships going? If it's not, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, think about that. Do we really need to be spending our one life on planet Earth being surrounded by stupid people and being surrounded by red herring disinformation propaganda campaigns? I say no. Right? And now I'm not saying you can't have fun, but for me, like, let's be honest here. What would you rather do? Read or watch videos on the fucking Iowa caucus? Or play some video games? Or drink a beer? Or fucking listen to an album? Like, let's be honest here, man. Like, I know some people like that shit, but like, come on now. Do something fun. If you're going to like dedicate a period of your life, which you should, right, to keep sane, you want to be having as much fun as you possibly can, right? Not too much fun at the expense of your health or the expense of people around you, right? I don't know, man. Looking at the fake Iowa caucus, to me, it's just not that fun. Like, I would rather be smoking weed. I'd rather be playing video games. Honestly, I'd rather be masturbating. Like, other than fucking reading, the Iowa caucus results and watching a 3-hour podcast on stupid ass garbage. I'm just saying, let's be honest here, man. Like, what are people in this fucking political space doing with themselves? They're a bunch of fucking losers, right? Let's be real. Anyone focusing on the Iowa caucus at all is a fucking loser. They're stupid. They're fucking dumb. It doesn't matter. The only thing about the Iowa caucus that matters is the way I'm saying it. A 5-minute footnote. Yeah, that thing happened and it's a waste of our fucking time. Everyone knew it was going to be a waste of their time. Anyone pretending anything else is fucking wasting your fucking time. And it's that fucking simple. But hey, I don't know. Maybe you want to go watch a 7-hour fucking interview about the Iowa caucus crazy results. Hey, maybe that's what you find fun. Some people like jerking off. Some people like watching a 3-hour interview on the Iowa caucus. Hey, I don't know. Whatever floats your fucking boat, I guess. But whatever. Anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate people that stick with me. I know I can sound a little insane. I know I sound a little off-putting. But the way I see it, I am not a part of the cult. I am not a part of the capitalistic cult. And a lot of people like to wear t-shirts like, fuck capitalism, man. And, they like to wear like the fucking anarchist logos on their fucking sweatpants or whatever the fuck. Or put stickers on their laptops. But they don't actually mean any of this fucking shit. That's why I say politics is action. And that doesn't necessarily mean going out and protesting. It means how you live your life. If you say that you're an anarchist, right, and you're telling people to get COVID over and over and to drink soda every day and kill themselves every day with stupid-ass garbage, you're not an anarchist. You're a fucking government-funded stooge that isn't even getting paid, right? The government is propagandizing you in such a ridiculous way that they're able to get you to do things on their behalf without even getting paid. So the government is... It exists in order to control you, in order to destroy your free-thinking mind, in order to make you assimilate into the cult of capital, right? That's why we give money to the government. And then you are just a drone. You're just mindlessly repeating the shit like, we must go to conventions. Right now, there's this thing called AGDQ going on. I come from the speedrunner scene, and they're doing this convention at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, where a bunch of gamers are getting together to do speed runs at the height of the COVID pandemic. And according to the rules, they had a mask mandate. And unfortunately for Logic, they also have a webcam on their stream, and almost nobody on the stream webcams are wearing masks. So they have a mask mandate as a way to justify having a convention in the middle of winter, right? And this is all conventions going on. There's Comic Cons, there's video conventions, there's YouTuber conventions. All these things are happening, right? Well, they'll say, you should maybe probably consider wearing a mask. And then once everyone gets sick, disabled, and dies in the next coming years, they're going to be able to wash their hands. Hey, we told you should. Isn't this fucking insane what people do to assimilate into a culture where the core goal of this culture is to destroy your fucking true self, to destroy your own identity? And people are so desperate to join the cult that they're willing to kill themselves and decrease their own quality of life as long as people perceive them to be a part of the cult. Well, guess what? I am not a part of this fucking capitalistic death cult. I refuse. Right? And so I get a lot of questions about like, oh, how do you think about these conventions? They're all fucking stupid. Anyone going to a convention during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, fucking stupid. You're a bunch of dumb motherfuckers. It really is that simple. It's not that difficult to figure out. I can't imagine killing myself and decreasing my quality of life so that people on the internet think that I'm cool. I don't give a fuck if people think I'm cool. I have my own little autistic special interests. I have my own little things that I like doing and making and showing to people. And that's it. I do things because I like to do them. I don't do things to fit in. I don't do things to gain subscribers. I don't do things to get more views. I don't give a shit about that. I don't do things to get invited to podcasts. I don't do things to get invited to conventions. I don't do things to get fucking book deals or movie deals or any of that fucking horse shit. But a lot of people you find on these platforms do because they're desperate to fit in on a death cult that doesn't even give a shit about them in the first place? And my opinion is that that's sad. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's cringe. But hey, that's the thing, is words have no real meaning other than how people use them, right? So if 90% of people are in the capitalism death cult and we're the minority, then we're the cringe. We're the embarrassments. We're the weirdos. But you know what? I think reality is more important than the perceived comfort blankets that people drape around their perception of the world. That's just my opinion. So, to anyone asking about that, there you go. I'll be back next week, probably. See ya.